All right, guys. So I will say this video of putting up this cab just winging it, putting it down, did amazingly well. Like, I want to thank everyone that's come back or come out and actually take a peek at this. The new subscribers. Wow, over the 500 mark already. That was really quick. This video has a bunch of views. I am grateful for that, for sure. But so today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove all the wood flooring stuff, kind of get these risers you can't remove. Well, you can, but they're actually welded in, spot welded in or whatever, into the floor brace that goes across. But I'm just going to clean everything out in here. I sprayed it down with PB Blaster, all the bolts and stuff. I have a feeling I'll be cutting a lot of bolts out. But anyway, so on Sunday when I set the cab down on this frame, just basically just to see if it would work, like if it would sit on there, what I would need to do it, you know, with the little amount of material that I had here. So I went to pick up some 2x2 square tubing, 3/16 inch thick, to start working on the cradle. They didn't have any, so I won't have any. They won't get it in until next week. So I placed the cab down how I want it to look in the end, right? Which is a big mistake, let's be honest. There's no weight in the front, there's no motor in there, you know. So what I have a feeling that I did a rough measurement of the engine from oil pan, bottom of the oil pan, where it would sit in the cross member, to basically where the carburetor or whatever would sit, and it's about 3 feet. So what I have to do is, I think this cab has to come up a minimum of 4 inches, maybe 5, to come up, so the motor will sit in there pretty decent, meaning like the carburetor won't be right here, like, hey, how you doing, vroom vroom vroom, right? And then figure out as far as dropping the whole thing back down will all be through suspension. So we'll probably put, like my 3100 truck, I had 2-inch drop spindles in the front, and then I went with 1-inch lowering springs, and that was like, it was way too close to the ground, like the body and everything, even the frame. The frame, I could hardly get a jack underneath there to jack it up. So with that being said, I know that I can raise this cab, and that was sitting 3 inches. I think that cab was sitting three or 4 inches off the frame. So if I put this at 5 inches off the frame, yeah, it'll look really goofy at first, but then when I put the 2-inch drop spindles in the front and then 3-inch blockets in the rear, it'll bring the whole frame body down, and that way I will still have clearance for the engine in there. It'll be pretty good, without having to worry about building this huge hump. I know it's going to need one anyway, but it'll at least put the engine down lower in the cab, if that makes sense. That's what I'm trying to explain here. So in order to do all that, one, I need the material to make the cradle, which I get my stuff at Sheet Metal Supermarket because it's right next to my work, and this is actually the first time they have been out of stuff like that. So I'll have to wait until next weekend possibly to do that, but for today we're going to pull all that stuff out from inside and just go with a bare slate to see how those slats go across, to be able to build something off from that, to be able to raise this up, and so on and so forth. So my two choices for drivetrain is, I do have a 305 with a 700 R4 sitting in my one shed. It's a 91 model, came out of Caprice. I don't know the mileage, maybe 90,000, I'm not sure. I know nothing about it. I basically bought that engine and transmission combo for 200 bucks because it was said to have ran when pulled, and the guy was doing an LS swap, and of course it was a stalled project, and anyway. But the LS was sitting there, but he didn't want to sell that, but I got that. So I basically bought that for the transmission, you know, like a core for the transmission, even though he said it was good. And when I moved it, A lot of transmission fluid came out of that thing, and it was perfect. Now, second drivetrain. I have a 283 sitting over here that I got from the guy from the 442. That it runs. He says that it does smoke a little on startup, but it runs. And he says it runs good. But I have no transmission for that. So, I mean, I do have the 700 R4, but for me, I think I want to keep this real simple. Meaning, like with the 700 R4, you have the kick down, or not the kick, yeah, the kick down cable or whatever has to be perfect, and I don't want to have to deal with that. The last two vehicles I did with the 700 R4, it was always like, oh, did I get the kick down right? Because the 700 R4s need that cable, the TV cable is what it is. Absolutely perfect. I'm more of a user-friendly guy with this one. Like, that's kind of where I'm getting. I mean, heck, I've got a 1600 cc Volkswagen motor and new transmission. Maybe I'll throw that in there, right? I mean, I just want simple on this. I don't want a lot of complications when it comes to motor stuff. Yeah, I'm not interested. So he has a 350 turbo transmission that he's like, if you want it, you can have it. I was like, okay. So we're still deciding that. But also with the engine mounts, I do have plates that'll move the engine back in the cradle, but I don't have all the correct mounts that I need for everything that I got going on. So I was gonna put the motor in there so I could get the suspension down, but that's not gonna happen either because I don't have all the parts for it. So it's really like, the only thing I can do at this point is just pull out the inside, all the stuff from the inside. And I know this is kind of like all over the place, but unfortunately, that's kind of what you have planned. Basically what I'm saying here is, when you go into a project and you have plans that you want to do this, but everything's not lining up for you to do this, do not get frustrated and go, well, you know what, I'm not going to do anything because this weekend or whatever day you're doing it. Because, you know, a little bit of progress is still progress, right? So ripping all that flooring out of there, those back seats things, yeah, it's not like an ooh-ah factor, like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. But it's a part of the process, right? So inside here, right there, that little plate that goes right through there, that actually unbolts. So I sprayed all those down. I'm going to try to get that whole whippoorwill cover, that's part of the cover, out as well, because I think the engine can come in and out from the front. So that's a game changer. So I wouldn't have to pull the cab off if there's ever kind of any issues. You can just come in and out. So these are the things I'm doing today. So I'm going to set you up. We're going to start taking all this stuff apart, and then we'll come back and we'll see what we got going on. That doesn't look good. Okay. Let's show you what I got back there. And when I say let me show you what I got back there, is basically let me show you what there's not back there. That explains a few things. So this right here, tank for the strap, right there it goes through. So that bottom, let me get all this cleaned up. Yeah, let me clean this up. We'll be right back. Okay, I vacuumed it all up back there. So it's got the Bluetooth floor in the back. All the way down there. And right there's kind of solid. And then right here it just kind of disappears. So this definitely doesn't deter me at all. Honestly, this little part down here basically just held the gas tank, right? So it's okay if I don't need to put all these little bumps and humps and all that stuff in there. So, but I do realize that that bottom along there does keep that together. That's okay. So we just keep on going. So I got to get that wooden floor out. I'm going to take that emergency or e-brake out, and yeah, it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be awesome. All right, guys, so that was about a week ago that I did all that. So I decided to pull the cab back off the frame because I have this motor here, and I also have a 305 in the shed with a 700R4 transmission attached to it. I don't know how I'm going to get it on this side of my property, as I don't have like a forklift or anything like that, and it's pretty tucked in that shed. But what I did was yesterday afternoon, we're in the middle of she's about to do a weekend retreat here at property for winter solstice, which is next weekend. So we've been kind of cleaning up in the back even more, setting up a tent, stuff like that. So anyway, so yesterday afternoon I got a couple hours to pull the cab off the frame so I can set the motor down. I did get the metal tubings that I'm going to need to make the cradle. So what I'm going to try to do today, in between other things that I have, I'm going to try to at least maybe set the motor down in there, maybe get the transmission off the other motor in the shed, see if I can at least bring the transmission over. I almost thought about going with a 350 transmission, just so I don't have to deal with the TV cable. I want real simple on this, right? And with the 700R4 you have that TV cable, whereas the 350, the turbo 350 transmission, it's just a kickdown cable. But the TV cable does a lot on that 700R4. I know you have overdrive in it, whereas the 350 is only 3-speed, but you know, I don't plan, well, who knows what I plan on doing. But anyway, so what I did do, hold on a second. Okay, I'm back. So when I was taking the cab off, I was trying to make, not a gantry, but boy, having a gantry would be super better than trying to lift this up with the lift, because the cab has a tendency of wanting to go forward. When I was lifting it up, I made something, and when I was lifting it up before the 4x4s in there, I wanted to leave the doors open, but with that kind of weight hung out in the front, the cab actually started falling forward. So that was a little tricky. I'm not saying that it almost fell off the lift a couple times, but then again, I'm not saying that it almost didn't fall off the lift a couple times. So anyway, so we got it off though, pulled the frame back, and then what I did pick up was the TransDAP 9906. So what this is for converting to the S10 frame from either the 4-cylinder or the V6 to a V8. So I got that off Amazon, and both the motors I have are old style mounts, so it's not like an LS or anything like that. But all I've done is I already had this frame prepped for the V6, but there's 2 holes up above that they say you have to like access port panel inside the engine cradle part in order to get a bolt on that. This already had the provision for it. I just had to tap the hole. So you know, and those are 3/16 by 16 is what those motor mount plates on the cross member there are. So I tapped that out like 2 years ago when I was going to use this frame for the COE, for the GMC, basically is what I'm saying. So all I had to do was just set the frame side mounts in, put the bolts in, tighten it down. That's all I've done, and I did that yesterday afternoon. I didn't record that because it's just putting 2 frame mounts in. It's no big deal. Now this frame will need to be cleaned up, coated. I'm going to probably use the Kustomz Rocket to coat it once I get all the rust off. You know, and that's all surface rust. 2 years ago, I actually pressure washed this whole thing and cleaned it up. Took all the old grease off and stuff like that because I planned on using it, right? And then I didn't use it, so I put it on the side, and of course all the grease is off it, and that's what we have here, is all surface rust. So what I'll do is I will show you the mounts that I have in place, and yeah, then we'll be back either trying to get this set in. The only thing I don't like about this motor, this is a 283 out of a 65 Chevelle. Now this does smoke on startup, I guess, is what the guy said when I got it from him. And the guy that brought me this is also the guy that owns the blue 442. But in the front, the heads have no provision for like mounts for like AC or alternator or anything like that on the front heads, right? So yeah, I'm kind of on the fence about that. The 305 has all the mounting points for all that stuff, because it had all that stuff. It was actually out of a 91 Caprice. So, but let me show you this real quick and then we'll be back. And here we are. So I did take the steering shaft out, and that's just a basic, what is it, 7/16 inch bolt. You loosen it up and then you just pop that off. I did remove the brake lines that I could remove. This one right here goes this one goes up to the front, but here are the mounts that come with the TransDAP kit. So it's this hole. So this hole, some people actually like cut a little access right here to put a nut on the bottom, but it's just tapped out for the 3/16 by 16 or 3/8 by 16 are these bolts, and the kit doesn't come with these bolts. So and I trimmed down the power steering lines because I want to see if I can actually, you know, my thought process, either take this and try to put it this way,
and find an arm that'll reach that. But I'm looking, and it looks like that the Astro bands have the upper, you know how the steering box is, it's more like this, and it uses the same configuration basically as this does. So I'm going to look into that and see that. But I did have to cut off the mount on that side, and that side I just popped it free. Actually, the cab popped this one free when it was tilting forward. But anyway, so that's what we got going on. So let me see if I can get some things settled with that 305 700 R4 in the other shed.
So I kind of need to move the whole motor back, but these mounts are as far back as it can go. All right, guys, that's gonna wrap it up. Nothing too exciting this go around, but a lot of information has been brought forth of what I need to do. Obviously, I'm going to go with the 283. That's what I tried to drop down in there, but as you can see, I have to notch out the subframe. Not very much, just a little bit. I was looking for seeing if the 305 oil pan would fit on this. It would fit on this, except that the dipstick to check the oil is on one side, the 305 is on the other side. So to make this one all work with how this pan is, I have to notch out the frame. So what I'm going to do is, we got the holidays coming up. Actually, it's Sunday just before Christmas, and then next week, the following week, we have New Year's and stuff like that. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be kind of organizing this whole side. I mean, I know shop's constantly organizing, moving, changing things around as you do it. But what I'm finding is that sometimes it takes me longer to pull out one of my pieces of equipment, either the shrinker stretcher or the metal shears or whatever. It takes me longer to pull all that out than it actually does to use it. So what I want to do is basically make that area right there metalworking. So I'm going to get the brake. The brake is already over there, but I want to get my shrinker stretcher over there. I want to get my bead roller up on a pedestal of some sort, the grinder, the shears that are over there. Basically keep everything over in that area and near the stairs for the loft. It's kind of like another reason why I put the loft in besides the booth, was to have this side right here where the cab sat for 6 months or so. Right here, that's where I wanted to kind of have a metal working area, right? I did go and I purchased something for the bandsaw. So because I know with this project here I'm going to be cutting a lot of metal, whether it be flat strap or square tubing, round tubing, whatever. So I'm going to have that area over there dedicated for that. My hose blew out, my hose reel, so I had to go get, actually my son got that for me for Christmas. So that was pretty cool. If you can hear in the background, I'm not sure if you can hear it, but my wife's having her winter solstice gala this weekend, and they're doing music, sound healing, whatever you want to call that. So as you can see, I do have, well, I posted up that I have the cab off right there. There's a lot of metal work that needs to be done inside here, but you know, I got to get that motor in there. I got to notch out the frame. Oh, and I also got to get my plasma cutter working. For some reason that's not working either. I'm kind of disappointed with that piece of equipment, to be honest. I'm almost ready just to purchase a 110 unit and just call it a day, instead of this 220 thing that always seems to be breaking. I use it a couple times and it breaks, and then I send it in and get repaired, and then I use it a couple more times and it breaks. So, you know, it is what it is. But anyway, so we'll probably be every couple weeks now on this, because it is quite extensive, meaning the not the equipment, but the materials that I have to buy for this. And I'm using my day job to fund this as well as everything else I got going on. So having built the first one, the first COE, I got into a trap of, well, I wouldn't say trap, but I got into a lot of buying a lot of things in the spur of the moment, because I think it would work, but it wouldn't work after all. So then sometimes I would buy double or triple of things, just in case I mess up one, I can fix it, or go to the next one that I bought and do that. So I'm kind of getting out of that. Like yesterday, when I was dropping in that motor, I was like, oh man, I'll just get online and I'll just order a new oil pan, right? That's what I'm gonna do. And then I was like, nope, hold on. I can just notch out the frame, and then if I don't know, let's say down the road or whatever, I want to go LS or something, which I doubt. I've already got the frame notched out for it without having to spend any extra money on like a special oil pan from like Holly or whatever like that. And that 283 needs to be rebuilt. So right now I'm just kind of want to get it in there for mock-up for the cab, to figure out what I got to do here to support this up and off, so I have room. Anyway, as we go, you'll see what I have going on in my mind. But again, thanks for all the new subscribers, and just hang in there with me. I will be putting out content with this. It'll probably be in a couple weeks though, so just know that that's how this one's going to be going through. There's still a lot of debate on what I'm going to do with the exterior and stuff like that, but really the main goal is to get that engine in there. And I got to get the transmission from the 305 over there, the 700R4, made it up to this after I get it in, so I know how to do the floor and stuff like that. So anyway, thanks for tuning in and checking me out here today, and sorry it's been a couple weeks since I put out any kind of content for this, but from this point going forward, minimum every couple weeks something was going to come out. If I feel real froggy and get some material in, maybe it'll be every week, but just know that that's coming through. Thanks again. Hit share, like, subscribe, all that other fun stuff they tell you to do. And hey, I appreciate all of you guys coming in here and keep watching. And remember, go out and build something cool. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye.